The LA Clippers tried to get 2 wins on the road in Phoenix and fell just short after big-time performances from all the Suns starters. What went wrong for the Clippers? Why was it not enough? And what do they have to do in Game 3 to bounce back? Gonna be talking about it all on today's Locked On Playoff Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day. Your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, in my 18th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more Clipper content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available on all your favorite podcasting platforms, including YouTube, where I want you to comment on today's pinned question of what was the biggest reason the Clippers lost this one, in your opinion. You let me know. The Clippers obviously losing this one 123 to 109. The series is now tied at 1, the best of 7, with the 4-seeded Phoenix Suns. And I'm not going to lie, I am actually okay with it. I'm content. We got the split, and we did not make the Suns' lives easy in Game 2. And before we talk about Game 2, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. The Game Time app is the best place to find the best deals on last-minute tickets. So if you're going to Game 3 or Game 4 of this Clippers series or any playoff series right now, you don't have tickets to the last day. Make sure you visit Game Time. But in this episode, I'm going to be talking about where it went wrong for the Clippers, and then where I think some fans are being a little bit harsh, and what the Clippers can do better to adjust for Game 3. And I'm going to be doing an even bigger episode on that last point on Thursday. So let's get into it. The Clippers losing by 14. Actually came out with the right defensive intensity, I thought, and made the Suns work. I thought at the beginning the Suns were going to come out and try to punch the Clippers in the face, and they didn't really. It wasn't a crazy sense of urgency, and I don't think it was a crazy effort level difference in the game. And you expect there to be, you watched that Knicks-Cavs game on Tuesday, and it was total desperation from Cleveland and a complacency from New York. That wasn't the case with the Clippers. They came out and actually tried to work, tried to defend. One thing I found interesting in the beginning was we still had Russ on KD, but we had Eric Gordon guarding Devin Booker instead of Nico, and Nico starting out on Chris Paul. My guess there is to have Nico guard Chris Paul because they use Chris Paul in more pick and rolls, and you want length to get over those screens. But Clippers were up by 5 after 1. I thought that their first quarter defense was sharp. I thought they were on their P's and Q's, and the Suns turning the ball over kind of kept the Clippers in the game. I also thought one thing that was super interesting was Kawhi Leonard guarding Kevin Durant at the end of that first quarter, and in spots as the game went on, even though it felt like he didn't guard him at all in the second and third quarter, had him a little bit more in the fourth. But at the end of that first quarter, when Russ came out of the game for his break, he totally showed KD who was boss for a second. Stripped him on a crossover, stiff-armed him for a dunk on the other way, going the other way, and just was putting a lot of ball pressure on KD, and it was making KD want to get rid of the ball. Look forward to seeing more Kawhi guarding KD as the series progresses. It was awesome, and it's just so cool seeing those two match up against one another. But the second quarter, the ending of the second quarter is kind of where the Suns got back in the game, and a big reason the Suns won this game was just really good shot making from Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Now, I know a lot of Clipper fans are going to be disappointed that they lost this game because it felt like we were right there. It felt like we were in it, only down by 5 going into the fourth quarter, and we were up by 14 at one point of the second quarter. But it was a 5-point game at halftime. I'm sorry, it was a tie game at halftime, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a tie game at halftime. So the Suns had come back, they made the push in the third quarter, and the Clippers kind of felt, were coming back and trying to push. They got within 6 at the end of the fourth quarter, and then Russ had 2 really bad turnovers, 2 of only 3 turnovers, and I say only because at times he can get more than that. I'm pretty sure he averages 4 for the season, so 2 turnovers, they were pretty crucial. However, I don't think the Clippers are going to win the game. It just didn't feel like the Clippers' game to win because the Suns in the second half, their starters played out of their minds offensively. I mean, yes, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are very capable of that, and Chris Paul is capable of that. But for them all to do it on the same night while Torrey Craig continues to play like prime Rashard Lewis, I mean, that's insane to me. It's just everything kind of seemed to go right for Phoenix offensively, and I also thought their defensive intensity picked up second half. And for the Clippers, they haven't had a game where they've shot 40% from three yet. In this game, 11 for 30 from three, which is 37%, which you would think is not that bad. But considering the quality of looks, I think it's pretty bad. And in my opinion, the takeaway here is that the Clippers, yeah, their defense wasn't great, but part of it was just the amazing shot making of the Suns. In my opinion, it was the fact that besides Russell Westbrook and Kawhi Leonard, the rest of the Clippers went 15 for 44 from the field. That's just 33% or 34%. 15 for 44 from the field. They did not have it, the role players. They let Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook down in this game. Kawhi was getting more doubles, more load-ups than before. He still scored 31 points, mind you. I think Kawhi Leonard has been the best player in this series thus far. 11 for 20 from the field for him, 3 for 5 from deep. I mean, the guy is shooting the ball well. He's playmaking. I believe he had 6 assists in the first half. He only had 1 assist in the second half, and a large reason for that is because our role players, the others as Shaquille O'Neal likes to call them, were not making open shots. Nico Batum, a donut, 0 points. He has not shot well in either game. 0 for 4. All his shots were threes. We're going to need more from Nico because his defense is good. KD was giving him the business in the third quarter, but that's Kevin Durant. He gives a lot of people the business. It seems like Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook, who just has this kind of insane hunger and determination when defending Kevin Durant for obvious reasons. Besides those two, it looks like everyone's struggling with KD. Terrence Mann and Nico Batum may put a good contest in there, but KD is still getting the shot he wants. He's still getting to his spots. He's still rising over the top of them. So it's tough. But Nicholas Batum, the point I'm making is he still plays good defense. His help defense, his rotations, everything, the way he runs guys off the three-point line. But when he's not making shots, it's very hard. He's got to make shots. And he didn't do that. Norman Powell. I said before the series, we need 18 to 20 points from him efficiently in my eyes to win the series. We've gotten 2 great games from Kawhi. We've gotten 2 really good games from Russ so far. We need more from Norman Powell than just 12 points on 4 for 11 shooting. That's not going to get it done. And his 3-ball still lags behind. 1 for 7 from 3 so far in the series for Norm. He needs to knock down the 3-ball. Kawhi is creating tons of good looks. Russ is creating good looks. The other guys need to make shots. But coming up, a lot of people blaming Ty Lue for this one, saying that he didn't make adjustments, the rotations were bad. I'm going to be talking about that coming up and giving my take on what I believe was the case with Ty Lue, whether or not he should be blamed and all that. But before I do that, I got to tell you about the Ultimate Pro Basketball GM app. It's the coolest game I've played in a long time. And, for all of us who think about roster construction and what we should do with certain teams, this is the perfect opportunity for you to enter a virtual world where you can be a GM. The game allows you to manage every strategic aspect of a franchise, playing through seasons and leading your franchises and fans to glory as you build a historic dynasty. In this simulation, you're responsible for dealing with the challenging personalities, whether it be player personnel or coaching personnel, hiring the right coaches and assistants, trading and training players, making draft picks. Could you draft the next bust? Are you drafting the next franchise player? All this in a challenging and realistic gaming world. The Ultimate Pro Basketball GM app is completely free and playable offline, on the go, as you want and when you want to. Locked On Clippers listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probasketballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up on the app stores. That's probasketballgm.com. Ultimate Basketball GM. Start your dynasty today. Thanks for making Locked On Clippers your first listen every day. Everydayers, tomorrow on the show, going to be previewing Game 3, what the Clippers need to do better, what shifting to Los Angeles means for them. But let's talk about this game. A lot of people saying that Ty Lue cost the Clippers the game with his rotations. So let's delve a little bit deeper into that. So the Clippers, the bench mob, which was, again, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, Busy Bones Highland, and Mason Plumlee, was the 9-man rotation the Clippers were playing. As for the Suns, I predicted a couple of things last episode, and if you recall, they almost did all of them. They did play TJ Warren, but it was very brief. He only played 2 minutes, didn't even get a shot up, so basically didn't play because they were so heavy on KD and Devin Booker's minutes. 45 minutes for Booker, 44 for KD. No Clipper got up to 40 minutes with Kawhi being the highest at 39. I think that bodes well for us. The fact that we had to have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker play 44 and 45 minutes respectively for them to just squeak out a win. And I say squeak out because even though it was a 14-point game, it was a 6-point game with 2 minutes left. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't comfortable. If I were a Suns fan, I would be thinking it was too close for comfort all night. So for them to eke out a win, in my opinion, and just have to pull away late, making all those shots, shooting 59% from the field and 42% from three and 93% from the line as a team, and winning, by 14 in a close game towards the end, and playing your stars that many minutes, I say advantage Clippers. Advantage Clippers. Hopefully they get worn out, but that being said, they are top-tier athletes, and they have been rested. So, but look, we're going to need Kawhi to play less minutes than them, in my opinion, by a bit in order to have him with fresh legs at the end of the games. Because we've seen in situations this season and throughout Kawhi's tenure with the Clippers, at times his legs can go at the end of games, and he'll start missing shots short. And we need to have him be the best version of himself late in games and conserve his energy strategically. Now, in the second half, the Suns threw the first punch. The Clippers have been staggering in these first two games, Kawhi and Russ, meaning that one of them is on the court at all times. Now, before the series, by the way, so on the TJ Warren thing, he played, but barely. I thought Okogie would play more. He didn't really. And then the one thing I was really right about was KD coming off more screens for him to score. From the jump, you could see that they were trying to get him on the move more, trying to get him to catch the ball 18 feet and in the mid-post area, so then KD can work quickly before doubles come. And he was doing that, doing well at doing that, scoring well. The thing is, when teams load up on KD, I've noticed he has much more hesitation and indecisiveness and overthinking when he gets loaded up on. When teams hard double like we were doing later in the game, he's able to make easier reads and find guys, basically one pass away. But when teams load up, he sometimes tends to overthink. And I thought there were times where he was being a little more hesitant when he got those looks from the Clipper defense. But overall, the point of emphasis for Phoenix was to get KD involved way more and get him more shots, and they did exactly that. Only 15 shot attempts in game one. In this one, he shot the ball 19 times, made 10 of them for 25.6 rebounds and 5 assists to go along with 1 steal and 2 blocks. So a really solid stat line, really good night for KD, but 5 turnovers, 5 out of the 11 turnovers for Phoenix. So if the Clippers can continue to still create turnovers on KD, that would be fantastic. But so the whole third quarter thing, when Russ, I said before the series, I don't think Russ, Bones, and Norm should share the court together because defensively it's small. But that's what they do. If Ty is going to stagger Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook, leave one in at all times, then that means that Russ will be playing with Bones, Norm, and then Terrence basically at power forward. In the first half of the game and in game one, this didn't hurt us because the Suns, outside of Ayton, were going with fairly small lineups themselves. Now, the difference was they weren't really sitting KD in this game. He only sat 4 minutes, only sat Book 3 minutes. So we had those guys having to guard, switching 1 through 4, besides Bones. So switching 2 through 4, having to guard those guys. And Bones Highland, by the way, they may have gotten some decent looks from him, but late in the third quarter, again, they tried to put Bones Highland in the action, and Bones made some good defensive plays again, showing and recovering. He even got a block and knocked it off Devin Booker. Bones Highland, my whole thing with him was his offense wasn't good enough. Only 6 points on 2 for 7 shooting and 0 for 4 from 3 in 14 minutes. He needs to hit his 3 ball. He was getting decent looks. He was still a +2 in the game, and I don't think his defense was horrendous at all. But when we go with that small of a lineup, you don't have that many plus defenders in. That's the issue. But I thought it was working in game one and in the first half. So I'm not going to get mad at Ty Lue for busting it out in the second half. Now, the difference was we're not hitting shots, and KD and Booker are playing against it because they basically played the entire second half. So now you have Kawhi Leonard out. You have 4 bench players playing against those guys. So for everybody that's saying we should put Rocco in, look, if you put Rocco in, I think somebody has to come out. Or you had to go away from Bones. something like that. If he's, when you're going to your bench, because Kawhi's going to come back in and you want him to play a lot. You want him to play 40 minutes in all these games. You do, unless you blow teams out. If you put Rocco in, I think you got to take Bones out in that second unit stint. Because if you go total bench and they have KD or Devin Booker in there, that's not going to cut it. You can't have an all-bench lineup, in my opinion, as deep as the Clippers are, unless they went all-bench. And by the way, in this game, you saw the adjustment of Monty. He didn't put 3 of them on the bench at the same time. So he adjusted. You got to give him credit. So it's 1-1. Monty got his lick back. Now Ty Lue will get his. As far as the defense, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant were starting to torch in drop coverage. Devin Booker had 18 points in the third quarter. And it's funny because this is the defense that Ivica Zubac has been playing all year and doing a good job of. He's still got a good hand in there a lot of times, but you got to give credit to the shot making. Devin Booker was amazing. Kevin Durant was amazing. I thought the rear view contests were not that bad, except for by EJ. EJ, this was a game from him that he didn't really care on defense. My dad made a comment. I was watching it with him, and he was right about it. He was barely even bending his knees. He wasn't really getting into a defensive stance or anything of that nature. So, EJ, and plus he was 4 for 12. So, I'm not loving the way EJ played in this game. He's my guy. I'm going to back him, but he didn't play well. 4 for 12 from the field. The only thing he did well was he shot the 3 well. 4 for 9 from deep, but 12 points and 4 for 12 from the field. But playing 32 minutes, that's on Ty. He didn't have a very good game. He wasn't playing very good defense, and he played him more than Terrence Mann, who I thought, granted, wasn't like a standout or anything, but his defense was really solid against Chris Paul. He was playing better defense than other guys. Of course, he's not going to be able to guard KD and Book that well, and I do think his screen navigation can still be a little bit not as good as people think. But overall, he should still be playing more than Eric Gordon when he's 3 for 3 from the field. That's the main thing with Terrence. He was 3 for 3 from the field and made both of his threes. He had 10 points in just 26 minutes. He should be closing. 26 minutes is decent, but not enough. So the dilemma, you didn't get anything from Zoo and Mason in this game. Zubac, this was the bad Zoo. This is the Zoo that makes all the Zoo haters, the Zoo skeptics look good because he was just playing soft. He wasn't playing with a sense of aggression. His movement was slow, whether it be reacting to loose balls or rebounds or moving his feet. I actually thought that on drop coverage, though, his contest was not that bad. He wasn't dropping too deep. A lot of them were shallow drops. But he's playing against 2 of the best pull-up mid-range shooters, three-point shooters in the game today. So that bodes the question, what adjustment do you make? Do you go small and play with all wings and stuff like that? Because the Clippers did that for a second, but for a while, for a couple of minutes, they did it with Bones Highland still in, with like Bones, Russ, Kawhi, and like Eric Gordon all in. I think they brought Eric Gordon in for Bones, but that's not it. If you want to play that small ball lineup with no center, it's got to be Kawhi, it's got to be Terrence, it's got to be Nico, and you probably got to get Rocco in there without Paul George. Dare I say Marcus Morris? I mean, he's a better option. If you're going to go with that small ball lineup with all wings and no center, then you might have to consider Moke. But I would prefer Rocco. Rocco, Russ, Terrence, Nico, and Kawhi. Try that out. Switch everything. And then, who's the guy that would get targeted there? Because I don't know if I would target Russ. Terrence Mann, maybe? I don't know. Maybe Rocco? He's not the best moving his feet, but at least you got to think about it, right? So that is a potential adjustment you could see Ty Lue go to. He obviously went to it in the 2021 playoffs against Utah, but it comes down to then staying in front and guarding. Because the other option is hedging or blitzing the screens, but considering the way Torrey Craig has shot in the series so far, I wouldn't do that. Because they're just going to make the pass over the top, and then they're in a 4-on-3 situation, and Devin Booker or KD is going to be spotting up on the wing. Ayton going to be in the dunker, and I got to give Ayton credit. He was finishing those plays, finishing those pocket passes, those pick and rolls, and in the second quarter when we went to a zone to try to hide the weaker defensive lineup, he was getting in the high post and making mid-range after mid-range. Ayton had 14 points and 13 boards on 7 for 10 shooting. Devin Booker had 38 points and 9 assists on 14 for 22 shooting and 4 for 7 from deep. So they just had a very good overall game. Kevin Durant, 25 points. So every single starter with 14-plus points. Torrey Craig, 17 points on 6 for 9 shooting and 5 for 8 from 3. The guy is playing insane basketball. Has to be the best basketball of his NBA career. So overall, I think if you're blaming Ty, you're being a little bit harsh. He did adjust. He did go small, but it wasn't the right guys. Should he play Robert Covington? Probably. But it's hard. Are you taking somebody out? I don't think that's the number one reason we lost. I think it's mainly that the role players didn't play well. Zoo was terrible in this game. Plumlee was irrelevant. The other guys are not making shots, but I will say he needs to lean into more Terrence Mann when Eric Gordon does not have it going. Absolutely. And I'm hoping that next game, because Kawhi, he may have one bad game in this series, and it's going to be hard to win that game. But the one thing about Kawhi I love is he still plays defense, so he'll still keep you in it. As far as defensively, too, there's going to come a point in this series where we can't switch Kawhi off of KD late in games, where we're just going to have him fight through every screen, and that's it. Make somebody else beat us in the screen and roll action if we need to. Because KD gets anyone else, it's a big advantage. But coming up, going to be talking about the potential adjustments the Clippers can make in Game 3, what to expect, and how important the game is. Also going to be reading some of the stat lines that I didn't read. Going to be talking about all that coming up. Before I do that, I got to tell you about Game Time. I can't go to Game 4, but I am going to Game 3. Game 6, I may wait till the last minute to get tickets. But buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be as stressful as I've experienced them in the past. And Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals right up to the day of the ticket. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Just download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so looking at the Clippers and how they can adjust, I think that if I'm the Clippers to start the game, I would go with back when what we saw in Game 1. Keep Russ on KD to start, have Nico guarding Devin Booker, and then EJ guarding Chris Paul. If need be, even try Kawhi against Chris Paul, because the thing is, they won't go to the pick and roll, in my opinion, with Chris Paul against Kawhi. And that may snuff out that Chris Paul, Deandre, Ayton pick and roll. Because the thing about the Chris Paul, Deandre, Ayton pick and roll, when you have Booker and KD spread out, if you're not switching, it's so hard to help off of KD and Book. And you saw that one time late in the game. Chris Paul made a pocket pass to Ayton, and it looked like Zoo was late on the contest. Zoo did just about as well as you could in terms of showing and recovering. The problem is he usually would get a rotation from the corner, but Kawhi's guarding Kevin Durant in the corner. So that's what makes it hard. And that was one of the plays I talked about in my, I don't know if I talked about it in the Locked On preview or in the Dime Dropper preview. I did in one of them, or maybe both. But that Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton pick and roll with KD in a corner is extremely hard to guard. So that's why I say Ty Lue needs to probably go with later in the game, switch everything kind of unit with Robert Covington playing, and maybe go away from Zoo and Plumlee. As far as adjustments, the Clippers are playing well. Guys need to make their shots. Simple as that. They took care of the ball, not so great tonight, 15 turnovers, but it's not the worst thing in the world. They've done worse. They can obviously take care of the ball a little bit better, and they should, and I think they will. But turnovers weren't the reason we lost. It was mostly just missing open shots. You need better from Norman Powell, in my opinion, more than anyone. I mean, I said 18-20. We need one of those games, maybe two. If it's a Zubats, he had 8 points and 6 rebounds, just 6 rebounds, and 4 of them were offensive, so only 2 defensive rebounds. This is not good enough. But let's look at some of the team stats for a second. The Clippers got to the line way more than the Suns. So the Suns only shot 14 free throws. Clippers shot 31. And Scott Foster, the whole Chris Paul thing, the streak came to an end. The last time it was 13 straight wins with Scott Foster. 13 straight losses for Chris Paul in the playoffs with Scott Foster officiating. And the last time they won was actually Game 1 of our series against Memphis in 2013, where we kind of beat them up in that game. Got really good contributions from Chauncey, from Jamal Crawford. It was a pretty comfortable win. But he hasn't won since then, which was crazy. But in this game, I think the Clippers, they get to the rim more, especially with Russ, who made all his free throws, by the way. The Suns live off a tough shot diet, man. It's Devin Booker and KD and Chris Paul hitting a lot of contested mid-ranges. And yeah, that's a layup for them. But sometimes when you just get good enough defenders, they tend to miss. And also, they don't have a great supporting cast. So they're going to have to do that a lot. Overall, I'm feeling pretty good, guys. The Clippers didn't play great. The Suns played pretty well. And it still took late game kind of heroics to win. Every single starter with 16 plus points, I don't know if they can replicate that consistently. Chris Paul, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. And it's weird being on the other side of a Chris Paul takeover, in a playoff game because there were so many with us. But, I still love the guy and respect the guy, but I want to beat him so bad. And by the way, again with Chris Paul, I think overall we've done a good job funneling him into his left. Only 2 shots in the series he's made going to his left, and they've both been full stops. So we got to keep doing a good job fighting over those screens and getting in his rear view. When he goes to his right, though, it's very tough. He makes those. He's so professional at it, so efficient at it. Just got to do your best. And the thing is with Zubac, if Zubac steps up, someone's got to rotate on Ayton. And if Ayton catches the ball, usually the open corner man is going to be either Book or Durant. Or, in this case, Torrey Craig, who's making everything. 42% from 3 for the Suns. The starters scored 110 points for them. 110. Only 13 from the bench. Is that sustainable? I don't know. And hopefully for the Clippers, their role players will shoot better at home. And when I say role players, I'm mainly looking at Nico, Bones, and obviously, Terrence shot well in this game. We're going to need some more. And Norman Powell as well. And EJ, he was 4 for 12 in the game. 12 points. Yeah, he shot well from 3, 4 for 9, but 4 for 12 in the game. It's just not good enough. Russell Westbrook, 28 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks. He did turn the ball over 3 times, and 2 of them were fairly crucial and were punished. But 9 for 16 from the field, 2 for 3 from deep, and 8 for 8 from the line. And then for Kawhi, 31 points, another 30-piece, 8 boards, 7 assists, 3 steals, 11 for 20 from the field. 55%. 3 for 5 from 3, 60%. 6 for 7 from the line. Our 2 main men, Russ and Kawhi, have brought it these first 2 games. I have no complaints about Russ so far, except for those turnovers were a little costly. But in my opinion, we weren't going to win the game. It was going to be an uphill battle there. And I think Russ has been really good. I really do. I know I might have people that disagree with me in the comments because, he's a very polarizing character. But in my opinion, he's been good and he's done his job. The other guys need to be better. And I'm not going to lie. I did not think there were going to be many games where Kawhi and Russ played great and everyone else just didn't do enough. But that's the case. And the reason why I say that is because I have a lot of trust in our role players. But they need to be better, and they will. Clipper Nation, this is where we come into play. We have a chance to defend home court and go up 3-1 by just not losing at home. And I'm calling on every single Clipper fan listening to this. I know many will be going to the game. I will be in section 208. So if you see me at the game, please do not feel bad about coming up and saying hi, okay? I don't care if I'm talking to someone. I don't care if I'm talking to, the most beautiful girl in the world. You can come up and say something, okay? And I doubt that'll be happening, so. Yeah, actually, no, I'm not going to sell myself so short. There's dimes at the games for the dimey guy. Okay, now I'm going too far. Point is, if you see me, say hi, because I know there's going to be a lot of people there. So, I just got ridiculous on here. The Clippers lose it 123 to 109. The Suns outscore the Clippers 31-22 in the fourth. It was a masterclass from Devin Booker with 38 points and 9 assists. In my opinion, he was the player of the game for both teams. But Kawhi Leonard, to me, through 2 games, still looks like the best player. He's so good defensively, and he just seems to have more confidence than even the great Kevin Durant. And I know it's going to be a series where he has to be the best player because KD doesn't necessarily. He can average an efficient 25, and if Book averages 27 and the other role players of the Clippers don't step up, they'll still be fine to win the series. But as far as adjustments, I think going small, I don't believe in hedging the screens high because they're doing too well shooting the ball. Keep funneling Chris Paul to his left. The adjustment is really you need players to make shots. It's not a crazy adjustment. And then do you still go with the 4 guards or the 3 guard set off the bench? That's tricky. If it's me personally, no. But we've had success, so it's hard. I think when, Ty Lue was asked after the game and he said he thought that the lineup did well defensively. And the reason why I think he's saying that is, yeah, the stats don't show that we did well defensively. But I think he's saying that he was satisfied with the contests. They were just making shots. They're hard to guard. We need to. This is why everybody's picking them to win the series. And when I say everybody, I mean most people that aren't Clipper fans. They have two superstars. Look, we were double teaming KD when we went small. They have Devin Booker making reads off the catch. We don't have Paul George. And Stan Van Gundy was saying it in commentary, and he was making a great point. They have two guys that can average 30 in the series. Average. We're at a disadvantage, guys, but we have a better bench. Although I'd rather have top-end talent than more depth in a series. However, Clippers are good. And the Suns team is still not that impressive in my opinion. Sorry, Suns fans, you're not. It took a lot for them to win, and the Clippers didn't even play that great. Hopefully, Game 3 we will. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where I went live directly after the game for an uncensored Raw review, going live after every single night of playoff basketball, talking about every single game, not just Clipper games over there. Locked On Clippers is free and available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you know every single time that I post a video here. Make sure to comment on today's pinned question. What did you think was the biggest reason we lost the game? I hope you're feeling as calm as I am. Clipper Nation, the whole goal was to just make them work for Game 2, and we did that. We got the split. If you had said 1-1 going to Game 3 in LA, would you have taken it before the series? Hell yes, you would have. So the Clippers take care of business. Kawhi's been the man. Russ has been fantastic. Just need the other guys to do their thing. Thanks for making Locked On Clippers your first listen every day. Every day is tomorrow on the show. We're going to look more in depth at Game 3. Maybe if I get a chance to rewatch the series, hopefully see some other things, if I have time, of course. So much great playoff basketball to watch, so no promises on the rewatch, but let's just see how it goes. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers. I'm feeling okay. Have a great Wednesday.